Hello, this is Braasch. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about exactly what actually happened on the evening of May 7th and the early morning hours of May 8th, 2018. And this will be the first part of my account thereof. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So as I've discussed previously, I was being terrorized in my isolated dorm room on Yale's campus for months, while the Yale administration and the Yale campus police stood by and did absolutely nothing, even though they could not have been more aware of what was happening. In fact, I believe that the Yale administration and the Yale campus police were complicit in my being terrorized in my own home for months, and I believe that they were illegally feeding my personal information to my attackers. Of course, I believed that the resident coordinators and the students involved in the February 24th incident were the ones actually stalking, harassing, and attacking me. I believe that the Yale administration and the Yale campus police were retaliating against me because I had resisted being wrongfully, publicly branded a racist, and because I had stood up for the federal civil rights of a black man during my first year in the PhD program at Yale. I had begged the Yale administration and Yale Housing to close the 12th floor common room of the Hall of Graduate Studies, and I told them explicitly that it was only being used as a vehicle and an excuse to stalk, harass, and attack me. As I had previously mentioned, between approximately April 24th and May 8th, 2018, my attackers had adopted the tactic of screaming and yelling at all hours of the day and night into my dorm room through the adjoining wall between the 12th floor common room and my dorm room. They had also adopted the tactic of repeatedly loudly slamming the 12th floor common room door as well as the elevator door. It seemed to me that this was being done by 2 or 3 persons, and it sounded to me as if there was at least one female voice and at least one male voice. Of course, now, I believe that these persons were most likely my 2 main accusers, the man and the woman who made numerous television appearances. This same harassing behavior took place for hours on the evening of May 7th, 2018. I would have been absolutely shocked if you had told me that someone was actually studying in the 12th floor common room on the evening of May 7th. People were going in and out of the room over and over again, repeatedly slamming the door loudly as well as the elevator door. And people, again it sounded like 2 or 3 voices, at least one man and at least one woman, were screaming and yelling non-stop through the adjoining wall between the 12th floor common room and my dorm room. On May 7th, 2018, I was actually in the process of fleeing my home. After having been terrorized in my isolated dorm room for months, with the harassment and stalking and attacks escalating in terms of both severity and frequency, I was very concerned for my personal safety. I know that when harassment escalates like that, the next step is physical violence, and perhaps even murder. I let the Yale administration and campus police know that I interpreted their behavior, or lack thereof, as essentially making a public announcement that anyone was free to attack me, either physically or verbally, with impunity. I was quite simply terrified for my life. I had been taking steps for at least a couple of weeks to leave as soon as possible. It was difficult for me to leave because I had teaching and grading responsibilities, and due to a lack of funds. But I was still desperate to leave at the earliest opportunity. I had been packing up and taking items to a nearby storage facility. I had also made arrangements to stay with friends in New York City as soon as possible. One other issue that I would like to point out is that a couple of weeks before May 8th, 2 undergraduate women had been robbed at gunpoint in their dorm room by a man who had been seen hanging out in the common rooms of the dorm. This was published in the Yale Daily News, and I, like most persons on campus, was well aware of this fact. So on May 7th, while I was being terrorized in my dorm room, I was desperately trying to pack up my things to leave. I felt that as the end of the academic year was approaching, that my attackers were becoming more desperate to settle their delusional, jealous, and obsessive personal vendetta against me, and they knew that Yale would do nothing to stop them. I was still up at around 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning because I wanted to finish packing and leave so desperately. The 12th floor common room had grown entirely silent, and I assumed that my attackers had given up for the night and had gone back to their dorm rooms or simply left the Hall of Graduate Studies for the night. Let me be clear, I had never seen my attackers. I had never confronted them, as I had been instructed not to do. I had never said anything to them. I had never opened my door, and my dorm room door did not have a peephole. I did not know their names at this point, even though they knew mine. I did not even know if any or all of them were residents of students, or just friends of residents and or students. Of course, I strongly suspected that they were the resident coordinators as well as the persons involved in the February 24th incident, but I didn't actually know who those persons were. At around 1:30 a.m. or thereabouts, I needed to throw some stuff away, and I had run out of trash bin real estate, so I decided to go make use of the trash bin in the 12th floor common room, and I also saw it as an opportunity to make sure that the room hadn't been trashed, as often happened, and just to generally check on the condition of the room. I did not think that anyone was in the room at that time. If I had had any thought that someone was still in the common room at that time, then I never would have gone in there. I entered the common room with my key. I tossed my garbage into the trash bin. The common room on the 12th floor is composed of 2 rooms. The exterior room that I had entered was lighted, and then I just happened to turn my head and look through the open doorway into the interior room of the common room, which was dark. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop there. That is the first part of my account of what happened during the living or napping while black incident on the evening of May 7th and the early morning hours of May 8th. Okay, thank you so much for spending a few moments with me.